Hey, hi. What's up?
Hello.
Once the title graphic goes, you will see the other Oh, there he is.
Hey.
Hi.
We're live. Hello.
Hey, we're Volition. We're streaming again. I'm Josh Stinson, the stream czar, and also from Volition we've got.
I'm Jordan Argeloni. I'm gameplay systems designer.
But on top of that, we have two other guests, devs, who made the game we're going to be playing today. Introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm Alex, and I'm the creator of Heart Machine and Hyperlight.
I'm Teddy. I'm a designer and programmer on Hyperlight.
And yeah, so we're going to be playing a little bit of Hyperlight Drifter.
Yeah.
First hour or so. I haven't finished it. Mm-hmm. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, I think.
You think?
What was that?
You think?
I think.
Oh, spoilers.
I have the southern area left
Okay.
of all that stuff, so I'm just guessing. But you, on the other hand,
I have not played it. I saw the trailer and listened to the soundtrack, and I went into media blackout because I wanted to experience it fully. And I'm waiting for PS4 release so I can
Soon.
couch cruise. So I'm excited. So
actually-
I know very little about this game. I'm pumped.
yeah, so this game's only on. Is it just PC or is it Mac too?
PC, Mac, and Linux.
Okay. And yeah, you guys are coming out on consoles later, at least PS4, I know of.
PS4 and Xbox One sometime in the summer.
Okay.
All right.
So pretty soon.
Nice. And yeah, with that, let's just switch over to some Hyperlight Drifter.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. There's my audio. Yeah, once we get some extra stream hardware, I am putting in a fucking soundboard. And also, we have, real quick, we have one other person who's helping us with the streams as always. We have Mike Watson. Hi, Mike. Used to be our community manager. He's gotten a sweet title upgrade, though. Now he's a community developer. Damn.
Ooh.
Damn.
So congratulations, Mike.
All right.
So yeah, just jump right in, I guess.
All right. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, I have one save, but
What do you do for the name?
I don't know.
Oh.
Who do you want your man to be named?
Everyone's gonna know my secret character name.
Your
No,
secret
that's
character
D.
name?
Oh my. Yeah. That's what I use for everything.
Is that your password?
Yeah. No, it's XX Super Saiyan XX89. That's my screen name. Confirm, enter.
Too bad it's all caps, so you can't do alternating lower and uppercase.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so you guys announced, because this was a Kickstarter game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys announced this about 3 years ago, almost? 2.5?
It's like 2.5-ish.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And I remember when I first saw that thing, I was like, just mainly the art style just blew me away. And then I just knew in the back of my mind for a very long time, like, I know this game exists. It's coming out at some point. I don't know when. And the second it would start to slip into the back of my mind, it would just be at the next game conference again. I was like, whoa, look at that. And now that I'm finally being able to play it, it's actually slightly different than what I thought. More in that when I was looking at initial trailers and stuff, for some reason I just got the impression that it was just straight linear, like almost level based, like you never went back, you never explored or anything.
Oh.
I think that was because there was it reminded me of another game. I don't know if it was an actual game that got released or if it was just something somebody was working on for a little bit that had a kind of similar dodge mechanic, where you could dodge across gaps and through obstacles and all that. And that was a far more linear thing. So suddenly when I was playing this, it reminded me a lot more of like Link to the Past. That was a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I mean linear games are great, but that's not the kind of games that I want to make, so.
Yeah. And yeah, this one of my coworkers who was helping me set this stuff up earlier today, we were bouncing the audio, so we had to run through this little intro, and he said that this intro reminds him of intros to Amiga games.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of Amiga games had those sweet ass like 30-second, slightly animated intros. This definitely has a lot more animation than that, but
There's a little bit more.
a lot more.
Maybe like
But-
one more frame.
Just one extra frame for the Spirit Guide dog.
Yeah.
Homer's Spirit Guide.
Cape Flutter actually takes up most of our games file size.
Yeah.
It's like the rules of budgeting animation in anime. Smoke, windswept hair, that's it.
Yeah.
That's where all the frames go.
fluttering clothes.
Yeah. And
You'd be surprised what you can do with like little tiny touches like that.
yeah. And what were so like there's been a lot of games out that have a the like an 8-bit pixel style. This definitely is not 8-bit, but still pixel art. What were well, actually, I used to know their name. Who was the person who did the art for this game, actually?
For this game?
Oh, it was just you, too. I thought it was another person. I got a
My
different
name
game.
is Alex. I did the art.
You did all the art in this game?
I mean, we had... So Sean was doing a lot of the animation, but I was doing all of the design I would, like, craft the scenes, draw all... I mean, that whole thing there you're seeing is pretty much all me, and then Sean did the animations for the waves, for example. So
God damn.
yeah, I'm doing the vast majority of the art, which is more art than I've ever made in my entire life combined, probably.
Man.
But we also had Cosmo helping out for the last bunch of months,
Okay.
doing some assistant work on the art, because I couldn't do everything by myself, because it's a big game.
Right. Yeah, it's... So one of the things we'll see pretty quickly in the game is that there's a lot of hidden stuff. And that is probably... For me, when I play a game, if there is immediately hidden stuff that is properly hidden and not super telegraphed all the time, I am instantly in love with the game. I am one of the people who played, like, Fez, and I was way into all the cipher stuff, like translating that language I had in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And when I started playing this and I saw some similar things, that made me excited, like, right off the bat.
Yeah, Fez is a good point of inspiration also, because the whole wordless design of that was really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
There's a handful of games that do that really, really well, and Fez was one of the main examples of that, because Phil Fish spent a long time developing that stuff.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Yeah,
it's a hard aesthetic to achieve. So
we also talked a lot about Fez in terms of like exploration and collection and keeping track of what you're doing, and also being like a mysterious game with secrets.
Right.
That's sort of a line you have to walk, or that we had to walk, especially with no text, of like, how do we make this mysterious? How do we have secrets, but also make it not completely obtuse?
Right. Yeah, because I found when playing this that it was really easy for me to keep track of where everything was, even without having to look at the map or anything, just because there was enough landmarks in whatever I was doing in a level the first time I went through kind of helped me remember where everything was when I backtracked to look for more stuff. But there's something that... Well, okay. When you guys released this initially, how quickly did people find everything?
within the first 4 or 5 days, pretty much the entire game was broken down, including like the ciphertext.
Oh, wow.
And even like the secret stats we had on certain items. So.
I was just psyched it took multiple days.
Did you have an estimate for how long you wanted?
No, I don't know. It's the internet. They break everything down really quickly because it's a hive mind of people who are really dedicated. So it's kind of impossible to guard anything unless you make it ridiculous. I mean, even Dark Souls 3, like they broke that down with the Japanese release within a week.
Yeah.
And everything about that game is pretty much online. I'm sure there's like some things people haven't explored in that yet because it's a massive game.
Yeah.
But still, it's like I can go online, find a guide to pretty much anything in that game that I need. It's the modern era. That stuff will happen.
Yeah. When were you guys... Well,
The lesson that I've learned is that the next game is going to have secrets that are much harder and much more secret.
I mean,
much buried in like double ciphertext.
Yeah, the thing I've seen with some other games, because like at least with indie games, there's a better chance of stuff going undiscovered for a longer time.
Sure.
I suppose just because, especially with bigger games, for most of them, not all of them, but stuff is accessible, and even hidden stuff. If you're at least a little observant, you're going to be able to find most of that your first go around, especially if you've been playing games for a little while.
Yeah.
But with indie games, stuff is a little hidden for a little bit longer. But like, the one thing I've seen now is like some games flat out just hiding extra stuff in the game, not in the game itself, but rather in the code for data miners.
There's a bit of that too in our game. Like we left extra levels in there just because we didn't want to delete them, or as like cool things that I felt sad about that didn't get in there. There's even a couple of extra bosses in there that just they're like 25% complete, and we ditched them at a certain point, and people were already digging into the code and finding ways to boot up those rooms.
Oh wow!
Try to guess which ones will crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like stuff like Undertale got data mined to hell and back, and like that was a game that had a lot of hidden stuff in it for a while, just because it was hidden in strange ways, or it was just garbage that wasn't meant to be found and wasn't actually significant in any way. But it's weird with how crazy passionate fans get, like how devs are having, if they want stuff to be hidden, they have to like continuously up their ante and like go even crazier to keep stuff hidden more than a day or two.
I think what we should do is use this, that cipher that's at the NSA in DC that they haven't cracked yet?
Yeah.
There's like that one there's like the dude the artist who made 3 ciphers and one of them hasn't been cracked. We should use that one.
Yeah, that's probably
As a programming language. Even if you data mine it.
Nice.
Crypt everything with that.
So I'm really digging the art style. Of course, it's a beautiful game. And we mentioned Fez. Was that a visual inspiration as well as the game mechanics?
Yeah, I think again, Phil did a really great job with that stuff, and there's a number of other great pixel art games around that time in the past, 5 or so years that came out from like Cappy and other places that were really taking it to a different level rather than just saying, I want to clone 16-bit games.
Yeah.
Right.
But they were actually making it a serious art style, like making it an attempt to make it something beyond just the original like utility or the original constraints that the SNES or that era had.
Yeah. With the so one thing with this game obviously is that from anybody who's watched it for like, they even watched like half of a trailer, this game's like super atmospheric. But one thing that also surprised me a little bit too when I first started seeing this stuff is there's a lot of indie games now that are pretty heavy on atmosphere and exploration and stuff, but a lot of them have, well, there's been a decent amount that have not been super combat focused, or if there is combat, it's not a core thing. And it's
Talking about walking sims.
maybe not even walking sims. There's stuff like granted they're like horror games too, but they're more about just hiding and just getting through the environment while not dying, stuff like that.
Like Soma.
Yeah. This game has like super fucking solid combat, and I'm super impressed by that because I feel like it's in this day and age it's hard to nail down a fun, satisfying combat system without it also feeling exactly like another game.
Yeah, I think for me that stuff, at least for this game, is really important. We focused quite a bit of time on the combat system. A vast majority of our first year revolved around refining it. And we want to keep it simple and accessible, but we also want to make it deep enough to carry you through an entire game. So
Right, because
Yeah, I mean, the first few shows we went to, like when we went to a number of things, but then what was it, PAX East? The first PAX East we went to was like 6 months after the Kickstarter. And we've been doing mostly combat, so mostly what we showed for the first year, too, was just like arena mode. To the point where some people who got introduced to the game that way were like, is this an arena shooter? And we're like, no, actually not at all. We haven't figured out the world yet, but there's a big world.
And
yeah, there was, I mean, even the E3 that we were at, that was all we were showing.
Yeah.
We didn't have the single player stuff ready yet to really have like a vertical slice that we were satisfied with to show off. So it was just a lot of the, hey, here's our horde mode, play it, it's fun, the combat's good.
Well, it was nice to not have to show the actual game.
Yeah.
I think and even with the preview we released, we ultimately, like, none of the finished game levels were ever shown publicly.
No.
Which is cool.
I mean, yeah, the preview we did in October was, ultimately, we treated it as somewhat of a beta test to get a lot of feedback and information back in 2014 from all the backers who participated. But a lot of that stuff changed. Those levels and those scenarios, that stuff all changed in the final iteration.
Huh. Were there any particular inspirations for the combat, or
Any particular what?
inspirations?
A lot. I don't know, like, I guess Link to the Past was like a good starting point.
Yeah.
In that it had a satisfying, immediate punch to it, like a good impact to it, but it was a little too simplistic, and it was a little too, I don't know, it wasn't as satisfying. It was very mashy.
Yeah, it's very slightly.
Yeah,
very
it was.
mashy.
Yeah.
So it's like a good starting point. And then I played a shitload of Diablo when I was younger, so that was also another inspiration point. And in that, like the combat design for that game, at least for Diablo 2, was more about managing the crowd.
Right.
And like having these swarms of enemies, whereas like Link to the Past was more about individual things, and so trying to blend those two in an interesting way.
Right.
With an overhead style was a challenge and something that I was keen on doing.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of stuff. I mean, for stuff like the dash, we looked all over the place because our dash is kind of like it's used for platforming. It's the closest thing we have to platforming and exploration is done with the dash.
Right.
But it kind of is designed, or it is designed first for combat, which is like, we want this to play into the combat, but also serve as a transportation method. So it's like, it couldn't be exactly like a dodge roll that a lot of games have, because when a game has a dodge roll, it's almost purely for combat.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole dodge mechanic is probably one of my favorite things about it, just because I've always been a fan of games that are kind of quick, and I've always enjoyed, like, there's some games that, they just do the combat roll, and the combat roll isn't anything special. It's just a thing that just gets you outside of the enemy's range very, very quickly. And I've always enjoyed when whatever you use kind of for defense is also what you use to get in quickly. So there's less downtime. You're just using that defensive thing to also get in close and like fuck shit up quicker.
Yeah, this game is a very offensive game. Oh, you did it. You found the secret.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, and now you
Game
put it down.
design.
Twice.
You blew it. You hit the switch twice.
What? Oh.
No, he's good now.
Okay.
That's what some of the upgrades end up being good for, is that like there is a stall, like there's a 11 frame stall at the end of the dash.
Yep.
So there is some time there, but a lot of the skills let you turn that right into an attack, which lets it be more aggressive.
Yeah. There was something about like Ocarina of Time where I kind of hated his roll, but as soon as he went into combat, he had a dash instead, which was really like a sidestep.
Yeah, the sidestep was way better.
So that was always way cooler to me, rather than let me do like a fat roll like Dark Souls or whatever. It just looks goofy, and nobody would ever do that in any combat scenario. It's like you would stand up and sidestep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was that movie Galaxy Quest where he like dodge rolls? It's like his thing, and they tease him about it.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a dodge roll is such a ridiculous concept when you really think about it.
Yeah.
It's like rolling up into a somersault ball so you can't see anything anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And moving upside down. Good idea in combat.
We have a question from the chat from Moonmen asking, is the art style going to be difficult to port to the Vita?
Everything's going to be difficult to port to the Vita. The Vita is like an old cell phone.
Damn.
I love that. I love the Vita, but it's not a very powerful console or a very powerful piece of hardware. And our game is not like the most optimized thing ever anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends. Depends on. It's going to take a lot of effort to get it on the Vita. Basically.
Yeah, it's going to take some like moving backwards, but I think we can make it look the same. But like one of the things, I think we all learned this as we went forward, that like the tools you make for your game really guide what the game will be or can be. And like what you can see with a lot of this is that it's not a tile game.
Right.
The tools we have, it's like the levels, Alex could like live sketch them as if you were painting them. So, and there are like objects that you place, but there's a lot of art that you guys made. So it's not a tile game. There's so many instances and they're all different. So the Vita does not like instances.
The Vita doesn't like a lot of things.
So we'll like combine things and optimize, but
yeah. Suffice to say, it'll take some considerable effort to get it onto the Vita.
Yeah, that was, like, especially with super small team sizes, but in any game development, like, you're always picking your battles. And for us, it was like, all right, like, let's not super optimize yet for Vita because we can just get more content and we can make this game faster without having to worry about that yet. So it'll be fine.
Well, so yeah, that thing you found earlier, that tower, was one of the Cypher things.
Okay.
I found like 5 of those. I don't know what's up with them, but I'm intrigued.
You'll know someday.
Yeah, one day. Also, I'm glad you went north.
Yeah.
Because that area you're in is like the hub world, and you can just go to any of the areas from the get-go, I think. Or maybe the south one might be locked, I can't remember. But I went east, and I got my ass kicked for a while.
The east is the easy region.
Is it?
Ooh.
Damn. I had an easier time with the northern region than I did the east.
It's totally dependent on the player style.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
some people have definitely found the east to be harder than the north, or vice versa. So.
Yeah, there was just one enemy type that would mess me up in the east, and that was the charging flower dudes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are fucking bastards.
Yeah.
Maybe like the biggest bane of everyone's existence as regular enemies go. I'm trying to think of any other common enemy or regional enemies.
They're the worst because they have invincibility frames where you can't damage them, and they damage you for 2, and they knock you back.
Yeah.
So they are mean.
And they have like 5 health too, I think.
Yeah, they are heavy and mean.
They were good for teaching me how good the gun is, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because up to that point, I wasn't using the gun too much. It's like, oh wait, this is great. I should use this nonstop.
Use some ranged attacks. It's kind of crucial. You figure that out as you go.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Probably gonna need it.
Probably out of the letterbox.
Oh, the other hot tip for the gun is that you can hold down a button to like stand in place and aim around with the right stick, but you can also just blind fire it just in whatever direction you're facing. I found that really handy.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. Maybe feel way cooler too. So I'm generally not that cool, so that's why I play video games.
Video games do make you feel really cool.
Yeah, and you might as well blind fire with the pistol, in my opinion, because the pistol is one of the less accurate guns.
Yeah.
It's also one of the best.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If not just straight up the best.
I don't need to heal. I can keep going. No, I'm gonna heal.
You got a lot of medkits.
Yeah. All right.
Well, here's a pro tip that's invisible.
Oh.
The way that direction works for your character is that if you stop, eventually, after like a half second or so, it'll snap to 90 degrees for you. So if you ever need to, for example, like shoot a weapon at a perfect 90-degree angle, you can just stop and wait a sec.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I never realized that.
You don't often need to do that, but...
There's definitely a couple times I can think of where that would have been useful. Just some edge cases, but mainly when I was sniping.
More you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's somebody earlier in the chat. They've scrolled off now, so I don't know who it was. But somebody else just came in midway through and said, "This looks a lot like Boktai 2."
Boktai is a great game. It's been. I'm a big fan of Boktai, the art style, and what Kojima was doing with those games.
Yeah.
Solar Boy, Django.
Yeah. I've never been able to play them, but I've always wanted to. They look cool.
They're really cool. They're a little slow.
Yeah.
But once you get past that and start to get into it, it's like, yeah, there's some cool shit going on here. There's some interesting systems, and again, the art style is really fucking cool for that game. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw this too, some random stuff. I think maybe it was just the red on the cape. For some reason, there are just certain aspects with the art style that made me think of Mega Man Zero as well.
Oh, there's definitely that as well.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that game and that series.
Yeah, that is probably close to the top for one of my favorite like side scrollers. Oh man, you got messed up by bird wizards.
Yeah, shit got real fast.
We can hear you talking about this, and we're watching the stream, so we're getting prepared for you to die really badly.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is about to
there you go.
Turn the
There you
corner, bird wizards. It's bad enough playing this game on stream. I have to play in front of developers.
First time too. You're doing pretty good though.
We've done the occasional stream where we would show, like, the East Boss was one we actually did show in a few streams before release, and there's a couple streams where, like, we failed. There was one stream where I think we actually failed to beat it. Maybe we beat it eventually.
No, I was playing on stage, and it's hard to talk and play at the same time.
Oh yeah,
because this game
absolutely.
requires focus, so I died like an idiot several times.
Yeah, I mean, I do streams all the time, both here and at home, but yeah, if it's even after doing this for a long time, there are just certain games where it's really hard to like attempt to be entertaining while also playing the game good. And I know on the internet, if you don't play a game good,
Oh, they'll let you know.
they'll let you know.
Oh yeah, it's a skill.
God, I love all the bird people here. Were any of the bird wizards here inspired by the bird wizards from Wind Waker? Because whenever I see a bird wizard, I just immediately think of the Wizrobes.
I don't even remember those bird wizards in
Oh, man.
Wind Waker. I mean, I love Wind Waker, but it's been a while since I played that.
Yeah,
There's like some
Mostly the Pope.
mostly the Pope. There's like some what is that movie? The Labyrinth and like Dark
Crystal?
Dark Crystal design stuff going on here with some of these guys.
Oh
Nice,
yeah.
I can see it.
Rig puppets.
Oh, check it right.
Took those laser bullets right in the face.
But yeah, so you guys have patched it a few times as well, just for some balance and difficulty things for combat. I haven't been able to play it since it's been patched, but I think you guys added invincibility frames to the very beginning of the dodge or something like that.
Yeah, so one of the things that we have the opportunity to do is kind of fix bugs, round off some harsher edges to the game so it plays smoother. And we had some controversy last weekend when we made it a little too easy because we made it so you could refill your health packs at warp pads.
Right.
We had a lot of iframes to the dash, and then we made the heal a lot faster. So we pulled back on some of that stuff quite a bit, or on all that stuff to a degree. So it's a little more even keeled. But
Gotcha.
overall, what we're trying to do is just find the like pitch perfect spot for that stuff because there's some certain situations where it's like, well, it's still a little bit unfair and a little bit frustrating, and we want to again like round that stuff off in a way that feels as polished as possible.
Right.
So we're not trying to just be like, let's make the game easier for the sake of making it easier. It's more just let's make it the best version that we can make it.
Right. Oh, I should also say, if you ever have like a high health enemy and you want to get rid of them real quick, just like pop them like 5 times with the gun, because like even though you'll be out of ammo, you recharge your ammo just by hitting stuff.
Right.
So there have been times it's like, oh, that asshole, and I just fire as fast as I can before anybody can get close to me. Especially these guys. Anybody who's 5 hits, I'll just unload into them.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah, there's some pretty good strats that are coming into play with like the ammo economy and like using your bullet immediately when you get it, stuff like that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things too. Like not really having to bother collecting ammo, but just recharging it via combat.
Yeah, with the pistol particularly, because the pistol ammo is basically 1-to-1. It's like if you kill,
Yeah,
when you do 1 damage to enemy with your sword, you get 1 bullet.
yeah.
The other weapons.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It
get
looked pretty good. Wait 15 seconds.
get that sweet ass animation for when you finish an arena.
Okay, cool. There's hope. Yeah.
So yeah, the music for this game too. We haven't talked about that too much, but one, it owns
So good.
when you have a subwoofer, and two, who did the music? Was it the same people who did Fez? It
was
sounds a lot like it.
Disaster Piece.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he did the Fez soundtrack. He's got a particular aesthetic,
Oh, totally.
but I mean, he's my favorite games composer. So I was fortunate enough to get him on board early on. We worked pretty well together. I'm super satisfied with the work that he's done on this stuff.
When did you roll him into the project? Like, was he a part of the early process?
He was part of the Kickstarter pitch.
Oh, okay.
Wow. So, were you able to like work with him and create a back and forth of inspiration towards the
Yeah,
final game?
I mean, I'm a control freak, so I can't just let somebody do something and not talk about it or not put my feedback or input.
That's
in
awesome.
it. So yeah, we worked pretty closely on some of these things. Of course, there's a whole variety of methodologies where it's like he would just nail a track and put it up, like cool, done. I have no comments on that.
Nice.
And then other times it would take a while to like really massage a track, and then also to massage the level itself to fit back and forth. So it depends on the level that you're in.
Yeah.
The room.
We have a question from, if I can read the tiny ass text, Prince Mario 1. He asks, could you elaborate on a Wii U or 3DS port?
3DS is probably impossible.
Okay.
Even on the new 3DS, it's just like the amount of time and effort.
Yeah.
Not even to say like it's just like there's not enough resources on that thing to run this game.
Yeah,
Right.
you said that from day one. I think.
Yeah, people have asked that over and over, and it's like, yeah, that would be nice, but that's
Yeah.
kind of a pipe dream because even though this game is 2D and pixel art, we do a lot of stuff in it that is a little bit too heavy for a 3DS.
Right.
We have a promised Wii U port. It's been in limbo for a little while because there's issues on the side of the engine between Nintendo and the engine makers. So we're like, I don't know yet. We haven't given a.
It's business stuff that's out of our
Yeah.
hands right now, so we're hoping it gets resolved. But
Yeah, we would like to. We promised it. If
Okay.
we can't release it on Wii U, then we'll announce that sooner than later, and whoever backed it for the Wii U pledge will either refund or let them change their key to another platform. So, it's unfortunate, but it's not really in our hands, and we only have so much leverage against the big corporation that is Nintendo to get
Right.
it to port natively.
Yeah. Darkside also had the question, when will the soundtrack be available on Steam?
it is.
It is? Okay.
Now, available right this second.
Go to the game page.
Yeah. It's
Congrats
also
getting...
available on Bandcamp and Humble Bundle.
Is there a vinyl?
I think iTunes even?
Is it?
Yeah, I think you put it on iTunes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, just kill all of them. I've seen some games do it recently, but will there be a vinyl?
There might be.
Oh, nice.
I won't rule it out yet.
All right. I can't remember if Fez had a vinyl. I think it did.
Fez did have a vinyl, and
Yeah.
that was more recent also.
Okay. Oh man, these dudes.
Well, I know people are fans of a vinyl. I'm not a particular vinyl freak or anything like that, but I can appreciate the collector mentality of that.
They just look nice to have too. I can totally understand just owning a thing just because it looks nice
Sure.
and never touching it.
Like my wife.
Whoa!
But I'm not even married.
I have vinyls, and I don't own a record player.
There you go.
So
Eddie's one of
I'm
those
that kind of hipster.
Yeah. I don't think I own any vinyl.
Oh, really?
I would, if we released the vinyl for this, I would own that vinyl, and that would be my only vinyl.
Wow. Aren't you committed?
I'm very dedicated.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, good luck not getting crushed here. I got crushed a couple of times here.
Nice.
So I might be ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Into the next Fuckstorm room.
Hey, good job.
Everyone's favorite room.
Did you unlock that door on the top there? I can't remember.
Is that it?
I think it was, yeah.
Is that where I'm supposed to go?
Yeah, there you go.
Listen, you probably get through.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh,
More
yeah.
of them.
Yeah,
I was getting all cocky too.
This is the room. I was hoping that if you went north that you'd get up to this room because like I want to see another person handle this room.
So this room is a room that everyone loves. No, it's a tough one. Even internally, we struggled with it for a little while. Made a lot of adjustments and tweaks over the course of a few months after the initial design was made for it.
Yeah.
By one of our team members, Casey. It was a really, really nefarious design for this one. I don't know. For me though, like I think the design was fine because I beat it in the first like 2 or 3 tries. But again, I'm a professional at this game. But then subsequently, when we would play test it with other people or just other people on the team, everyone would be like, "Fuck this room." And it's like, "What are you guys talking about?" It's like it's such a straightforward room, not a big deal at all. So
Whoops.
there were concessions that were made. It was way harder.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me 4 or 5 tries to get through here, I think.
Yeah. It's just it fucks with your senses when there is different timings for blocks.
Oh yeah, totally. You just have to like stare at those blocks and become one with them for a little while. Oh.
Oh.
Oh man. About to say. Completely flew right on my head. Son of a bitch. Oh, so how big is Heart Machine? Like how many people worked on this game?
At the core, there's always been about 5 of us full time. And then, there's people like Rich and Akash who did our sound design. Or Lisa who came in for 5 months or so to help out with level design for a bit.
Okay.
People who are not full time or live in a different state and do contract work with us instead. But yeah, at the core, it was 5 of us for a good long while, and then at the end, we were getting some extra help here and there. So the maximum that we ever had at once was like 9 people. But again, this was including like, hey, you're a contract worker and you're doing stuff like part-time or for a week or something like that. But
right.
It's been a pretty small team the entire time.
Okay. And this is your first game, right?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Well, someone in the chat noticed, yeah, like, not from all the developers, but as a team, we came together for this game, our team's first game.
Yeah, Bo released Samurai Gun, which is a great game, and he has been rather prolific throughout his like shareware career, also just making games in Game Maker forever. So he's made a ton of different
Nice.
like demos, games, prototypes, all sorts of stuff. And Samurai Gun was like his biggest release. Teddy, you did some things.
I did some things, big and small. I did indie stuff for a couple of years, and I did the academic thing. I was a games academic at USC, and I did big stuff too. I did Microsoft and Disney, doing design for them for a while.
Nice.
So yeah, it's not entirely our first rodeo, but for me, like I'm the head of the studio, and it's my game, my child, ultimately. So I'm responsible for all the failings and trappings and all the stuff that happens with this game. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied and happy with what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising, like, for every new team, but even for new projects, like, you always kind of start over, right? Like, you finish a game and you're like, cool, I know how to do this now. You'd like to think that you go in, you're like, cool, we won't make any mistakes this time.
Yeah.
But
I've learned from my
use it.
last game, it won't happen.
Yeah, well, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
So how long had you had the idea for this game before you started working on it?
I don't know. I mean, it's like bits and pieces of it
Right.
throughout my childhood, and then really started to come into formation over the past 5 years when I started drawing out design plans for it.
Okay.
So it's just, I think a lot of people have their like dream game or ideal game that they want to make,
Right.
and it just kind of stews there for a long time if it sticks with you.
Yeah. Your only dream game or multiple?
Oh, I got more
Okay.
things that I'm working on and thinking about. It's not just this. This was the first step.
Right.
First step towards that dating sim.
Yeah. With the waifu pillow.
Peripheral.
Somebody was
Yeah.
asking if there was going to be any extensions to the Hyperlight Drifter universe. And I mean, if you have a dating sim, then hey,
Yeah.
you have a lot of characters you can already date. Bird wizards,
Bird Wizard.
the really
Yeah.
huge scary guys.
Batbird Wizard.
There've been some good. I haven't seen long fanfics since release, but there's been some fan images that are definitely shipping some characters.
Oh boy.
It's getting sexy.
It's getting real sexy.
Oh, I gotta heal. There you go. Yeah, I think this is the very last wave. You got him.
Chat doesn't have to watch me play this 4 more times. Hopefully.
I will say though, like, yeah, every once in a while there might be a fight you get stuck on or something, but the checkpoints are very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we struggled with for a while too, because I can't. I don't know. I always hated auto checkpointing in a lot of games
Yeah.
because it usually it feels like Call of Duty, for example, does it really, really consistently and a lot. So it feels like they're just pushing you along,
Right.
and it's just a shooting gallery at that point. So it never felt like there was much exploration behind those, which there's not. I mean, those again are
Yeah.
like shooting gallery games. So I was kind of against that in the beginning. I was like, no, we need hard checkpoints. But with the design of our game and like the fragile nature of your character, it turned out that was a little too much to expect people to be like, here, save here, and then walk for 20 minutes and explore and do all this stuff, because then it would just get frustrating because you die on this stuff and you want to retry challenges. So there's some balance and blend in between of the like consistent checkpointing, fair checkpointing, and exploration.
Yeah.
Don't want to overdo it, but you also don't want to frustrate the player.
Right.
And there's still some parts that like I missed here and there, and
Okay.
somebody mentioned like, oh, there's a ridiculously long area where you don't get a checkpoint after you die here, and it's like one of the later levels, and I was like, oops, so I just fixed that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, even stuff like that's what I liked about Meat Boy. It's like really hard, but once you do a thing, you've done it. You know, like they checkpoint you, and respawning is instantaneous. Because we sped up respawn since release
We did.
too.
So like we're not Meat Boy, but we're kind of riding the border between like a Souls game and a Meat Boy, where it's you kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Meet in the middle, where you're
Oh,
going
can you
up against
open
hard challenges again and again, but they're not in the style of Souls where you have like enough room and space, like you could run for 10 minutes and then get to this boss and do whatever else. It's like, no, we pretty much respawn you really close to heavy events,
Yeah.
but we're not doing it instantly. We're not showing your death over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a thing with, there's some, I'm pretty heavy into action games, especially like more melee-based ones like Platinum games or Devil May Cry and stuff like that. And like,
Platinum games are great.
yeah, but there are definitely instances in those games where either a checkpoint was missed or something, or a checkpoint can screw you out of like a good ranking, because the checkpoint will like permanently save a death, or it will save a bad performance halfway through a fight or something like that. So,
Oh yeah.
seeing a game like very consistently pull off really good checkpoints always makes me happy, because it's a weird edge case for me too, because for most people it's fine, but like me, I'm a dude who likes to record video games and then talk over them later. And that type of stuff can mess me up a lot. So seeing something that lets me get, good checkpoints, but doesn't like rob me of a victory essentially, like from start to end in a fight or something. That's really nice to see.
It's the auto checkpointing, or like just the saves in general. It's a tough problem, and we still had like, over the course of the first week or two, I was fixing a bunch of edge case scenarios that people would find that we just didn't find in playtesting or QA.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, there is a bad death loop there, where it would checkpoint and you'd be stuck, and you'd have to either hope that you could warp out in time or like revert your save file. So there were problem areas like that we fixed, but yeah, it's a thing. It's a tough thing to balance out, and like it takes a lot of precise and careful thought to get that stuff feeling fair and not get you trapped.
I wonder if that we have a Steam achievement that's beat the game without dying.
What?
Because
yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh no.
And yeah, people have done it, and I just realized, like, oh, there is a little bit of time between when you die. I wonder if they just like force quit the game.
Oh yeah.
Because when you die, it doesn't save that until you respawn.
They could.
So they have like a second or two, and also we have backup saves.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways that anybody can screw up. It's a game ultimately that we're not going to be able to account for.
Yeah.
And so we can only do so much. And then if people present edge cases and it feels like a thing that enough people will find to be problematic, we will. Oh, that was weird. We'll fix it.
Yeah. We have another question from Prince Mario 1. One last question. What's the story with the dog?
Cut it out, Prince. No spoilers.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things I've had to, just because there's no actual dialogue. It's been kind of fun to just kind of guess what's happening in this game. Were there any inspirations for like the... So like, okay, so I've seen some people say this, and I've had the observation too. Some of the imagery at the beginning and in some other points makes me think of the end of Ava. Just with the type of apocalypse it seems to be at the beginning. Was that just a coincidence?
No, there's Ava similarities for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good series.
Yeah.
Better movie. First one's really good. Second one's okay. Third one's terrible, trash fire. But there's similarities. I would say there's more similarities to like Nausicaa.
Yeah, I noticed that for sure too.
As far as the story goes, we ask a lot of the player that I don't think a lot of games do these days, to just observe. Whether it's in the combat, whether it's in the secrets, whether it's in the story and the narrative that we're presenting. And certain people get that and others don't.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've heard a range from both ends of the spectrum. It's like, there's no story here, or I don't get it, or it's so confusing, or whatever else, to others sussing it out in the first couple days and having a whole thread about it, like, yeah, these people are doing this, and these guys are doing that, and they're pretty much on point about all these things. It's like, it's just a matter of, again, deciphering the language that we presented here, not just the actual language, but like the visual language.
Right.
With the little story vignettes that we have, paying attention to the little cues that we have throughout the that are littered throughout the game, because we put a lot of thought and effort into that stuff. So whenever I see somebody say, like, oh, there's no story, or I don't get it, or this game's so barren, or whatever else, I feel a little disappointed. But I can also get, like, maybe that's just not, maybe we're asking too much of that player, because that's not their style, or this isn't their style of the game, because we don't have text to just explain stuff. So again, we are requiring the player to focus and pay attention and be observant, which is something that some players are not expecting.
Yeah, we do that with the combat too. It's just very universal. Like, it's expecting a lot is good. It's like giving players a lot of credit, right? Yeah. Like, I think when you're doing design, you can get into the habit of assuming that players are dumb, because like everyone, like including myself, like once you're playing a game, sometimes you just miss obvious things, or a tutorial text comes up that tells you how to do something and you miss it, and like you have to repeat and reinforce things. As part of the design process is to assume the players don't get it yet.
Right.
But yeah, we do a lot of like, okay, we will account for that when it comes to teaching stuff, but we're gonna trust you to figure it out. And like Alex is saying, like, same methodology, same philosophy behind the story.
Right.
It's all there. You just got to be willing to put that effort forward, and you have to be observant about it.
I didn't know that at all about like the Dark Souls series because I wasn't really into them when I played Bloodborne.
Oh,
Probably,
yeah.
like you and Scott. I just thought it was these murder games. I was like, no, there's a deep lore. to these games.
Oh yeah, no, they're super deep. But at least they, like, Dark Souls did a clever thing in that they presented their lore through their items.
Yeah.
And still, their stories are very obscure, even with the help of all the items.
Yeah.
Because the main plot, like, you really have to dig on some of that stuff, and some people, they spend entire hours in their YouTube videos explaining what the fuck is going on with this with this world.
Yeah, there are Dark Souls lore videos out there that are like an hour and a half long. Like, they're feature length. And it's just covering
they're scholars. They're scholars.
And it's like just covering a segment of the lore too, not like the grand scheme of everything.
It's like and for us, like, there's plenty. You're getting wrecked.
I know you guys. Thanks.
There's plenty of stuff in our game where it's like we have thought long and hard about the story, and we've written a lot of backstory for this and considered it very carefully.
Yeah.
So it's not as if it's not there. It's just you have to be able to parse it, and you have to be willing to pay attention.
Yeah.
And then make some connections. So it takes a little bit of detective work.
I don't have them.
Does he do it?
Yeah.
I haven't heard any.
If he dies,
No.
if he dies, it's a glitch in the stream. He's actually. No, I had a lot of trouble with this part too.
It's tough for him.
Yeah. There's and also actually, I don't know how many of the upgrade things you picked up, but you might actually be able to get some stuff for yourself now that would make some of this stuff like a lot easier. At least there's one upgrade I find like super key, and that's the one that lets you dodge multiple times in a row with like little lag between it.
That one's vital.
I have gotten that little challenge room where you have to, there's 2 different rewards for like chaining dodges forever. I've gotten very close to the second one.
Yeah?
I fucked up my last attempt by 5 dashes. I was that close.
No.
You can thank Alex for making me dial that down from 1,000 to 800.
Yeah, when I was like, look at the meter, and I was like messing up at like 250 dashes, I was like, that looks like it's about 1,000, but it started to grow a little bit faster, and it's like, okay, maybe like 800. And I was at like...
I said to Daddy, I was like, this needs to be like 400 maybe. Like, no! But done it. And that's great for them. And again, it's a totally ancillary thing. Like, you don't need to do it. So
right.
Because we have a ridiculous challenge in there doesn't mean you need to do it. And most people won't.
Yeah.
But there are certainly people who will complain about it. Like, that's fucking crazy. You guys are assholes. It's like, it's an asshole challenge. That's what it's there for. It's not part of the main game in any way, shape, or form. Like, there's nobody telling you to do it.
Yeah, I still want to write a blog post about this. I had like a teacher in college who he like designed his test so that the average student would get a 50 out of 100 instead of like, whatever the average scores are in most classes, like an 80 something. And he said that it's like, well, you get the biggest range of understanding actually how you're doing because it's hard to get an A. It's like impossible. And I feel like that's what that challenge is. It's like,
right.
And for this particular thing, it's like, yeah, not everyone will be able to do this. Doesn't mean you're bad. Like, if you can beat this game, you're a fucking pro. Like, by the time you get done with it.
Yeah.
But that's there to really test the extreme of that one particular skill, which really like is a challenge, an isolated challenge, because nowhere in the game will you ever need to dash or be able to dash that many times.
Yeah. Is there a hidden thing to
But
the right
it helps build your endurance with that stuff.
Yeah, you get good at the timing for sure.
Dexterity.
The lower right, that might be a secret hallway. Yeah, I was right.
And is it?
Yeah, how many upgrade things? Oh, you have 2 full squares that might be enough for the dodge? I can't remember. But yeah, I haven't been able to do that chain dodging thing, but I did. Unfortunately, I think it was before the achievement for it was patched in, but I did very good at the soccer game after a while.
Ooh.
That little guy, it was a fucking jerk for a while, but I figured out how to exploit him a little.
What's that meme that he's like the hardest boss in the game?
Yeah, pretty much. There was a great drawing on Reddit of him, where just like kicking the drifter when he's down. But I was like, oh, that's pretty genius.
Yeah, that dude actually killed me a couple times, and I just wanted to play soccer with him.
Everything's very violent in this world, so expect them to murder you.
Yep. Speaking of that, the east area actually, because I knew there was some violence and some blood, like when you were fighting enemies and stuff, but the east area actually surprised me a little bit with like some of the people being like strung up and like flayed and stuff.
Oh yeah,
That was shocking to me. But also that area was pretty cool, so.
It's fucked up.
it's super fucked up. It's a fucked up world, man. There's terrible things happening in it. That was one of the like those flayed otters was something that we were like second guessing. I was like, is that too much, or is it just enough?
Even us, like getting used to the game. I remember like Bo and I were testing it, and we walked into the room the first time you put those in. We were like, oh god.
Yeah.
Really sad.
So mean. But it's true. It's what's happening.
And yeah, it's like
Yeah, like, it's violent, but it kind of helped sell what was happening there better, I feel. Those asshole frogs.
those heads on pikes.
Yeah. Making tents out of them. Dicks.
Oh, this is where we might die in a little bit.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this one was difficult for me too.
And it's supposed to be.
Hey, there's a health pack right there.
I got plenty. I found a secret double health pack.
Oh, nice.
Somebody asked what we would consider 100%ing the game. I guess
Who asked that?
Oh god, I was trying to scroll up. I don't know. Shout at us if you asked it. I like giving credit to questions. But what would it be? Be
100%.
collect everything.
Yeah, collect all of the outfits.
Which and that stuff has an achievement.
Yeah, it does.
So I feel like if you get all the achievements, then that's everything, right? And finishing the game, because we don't have a lot of achievements. We don't have any achievements. We're just like, you played the game.
Yeah.
You beat a boss. It's like that's its own.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's like 100% of the game means, well, yeah, because even the challenge mode now has an achievement, right?
Yeah. It's the bow though.
Oh, we haven't added that yet.
No.
Have we?
Okay. No, I added one for the.
Okay. Well, once we get all of the achievements in there, we've been adding a few extra requested ones. Then that, like, just get all the achievements is basically like, yeah, that's 100% of the game. We've covered the breadth of everything in it, so.
Oh, man. Yeah. Are there achievements related
you
to
can get a
the...
fancy upgrade now.
Yeah. Are there achievements
Watch out for
related
those.
to the cipher stuff?
What?
Are there achievements related to the ciphertext stuff, or is that entirely...
There is an achievement that we're going to put in related to that, yes.
Okay. 'Cause
Nice.
I'm just super
Okay.
curious where that stuff leads.
Heart Machine, Yomidian likes Heart Machine as a studio name. Good job, Alex.
Thank you. It's my mother's maiden name. Heart
Now I can
Machine.
get all your passwords and your security questions.
Laurel Heart Machine.
Your first pet
Yeah.
was Drifter.
Yeah.
Mom's maiden name, Heart Machine. Street you lived on when you grew up.
We're watching you go into this very dangerous fight with 1 health, and I'm feeling really antsy for you because yeah, there you go. You
It
died.
works out for the bet. No,
That was not a smart choice.
forgot I had 1 health. Won't make
Like
that
I
mistake
spoke
twice.
with
No, you guys definitely have a good balance of challenge. Like one thing that's important is I feel like the problems are my fault. Right? Like you give enough communication, your enemies are very consistent that I know the rules and I know how to react.
We try
I
and make
just
it as
didn't.
fair as possible
Yeah.
again, and that's what the patches are for. It's like
Yeah.
trying to even out any of the frustration in this because it should be a challenging and rewarding experience. It shouldn't be frustrating. It shouldn't be like, fuck that, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
You should say like, yeah, I fucked up. I should do better next time. So there are a few
Yeah.
particular key things, and they're like, well, let's try this out. And we pushed a little too much, and so we pulled back and was like, yeah, this feels much more even keeled now. And there are definitely people who argue like, no, put it back to the vanilla version. It's like, well, I don't think we're gonna do that. I think, we've adjusted things, we've fine-tuned things to the point where we feel like this is fair now.
How do you guys feel about difficulty levels? Because I know there's some people of the opinion that a game should just have one, and that should be the intended experience.
There's great internal discussion about that, like lengthy internal discussion, because there's advantages and disadvantages to either end of that conversation, I feel like. And it's like, if you add difficulty levels, that's great. It can be more inclusive. You can open up the game to players who may not have played before.
Yeah.
But then you can also, on the flip side of that, you can also make people, you can muddle your message on like what the game is about. And you can compromise,
Nice.
Some people believe you're compromising on your design or something if you add an easy mode.
Yeah.
So I think overall, it's a matter of what you really want to do with the game. And for us, I think there's arguments on both sides that we're paying attention to in considering having multiple difficulty modes. It's not a clear-cut choice for us at this point.
It's never too late to fight over your design, even after you ship.
Yeah, it's true, especially this day and age when you can just go on Steam and update it, the next day. So an easy mode or an easier mode or like a casual mode, like, it's still up in the air. It could happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know certain people hate that stuff. And certain people are like, no, don't do it. Like, you're ruining my experience with this, making it easy and accessible for everybody. And it's like, well, one of the things you can do is just say if you play it on casual mode, then you don't get the achievements that the people who played it on normal mode do, or like intended mode or whatever.
Walking sim mode.
Exactly. No, it's not like we would do that either. We're not trying to make a game that's a walking sim or that would compromise the joy of the combat. But I think like giving players a little more health and maybe giving them more health kits or something, or reducing enemy damage, or there's things we could do to make it easier for more accessible to players that don't play harder games like this oftentimes. But again, there's arguments against that too. It's just like, no, you're just compromising your design, you're diluting it or whatever. It's like, I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but I understand that.
Yeah, I think the goal with whether or not we do it is not just to make sure the design is what has integrity, but also like the reason that it feels like it does, the reason the combat is like it is also related to the design of the character. Like, we had the mechanic of the shield for a while, and that got cut because it encouraged you to turtle, and this character is very vulnerable in every sense of the word, and so like that informed the design. So with whatever changes we would make or whatever mode, like that's something we would need to preserve. Like a walking simulator version of this game wouldn't make any sense because part of the character's journey is like what you go through as a player and like how difficult it is, and it's
about struggle.
No matter what, that's something we would preserve.
Yeah, the game is about struggle.
Maybe I'll just beat this game tonight. Maybe that's what I'll do. I was gonna do work, but maybe I'll just do this instead. Oh, that's too good. So we haven't gotten to one yet. They take a while to get to, but the boss fights.
You could get to a boss right now.
Oh, actually, could you? Oh, yeah, you could.
So all the way down.
If you go down.
You're 15 seconds behind, so I don't know where you are, but.
The main,
Yeah, that door that need 3 of them. You have 3 of those now.
Oh, it only needs 3. All right.
Yeah, but I found these bosses pretty fun and interesting, just in that they all felt really different from each other. How important were boss fights to you?
Very important. Yeah, boss fights. We had a lot more boss fights planned.
Yeah.
But it turns out bosses take a long time to create.
Yeah, I bet.
Good bosses take a long time to create. So instead we chose to focus and really polish the ones that we had and that were our favorites. Because it's like, oh man, we don't want to do like, 3 or 4 bosses per region or something like that. But it's fucking ridiculous for our size team. Like the size of the game that we're making, we would have just had to have made like a boss rush game.
Right.
And it would have been 0 exploration. So
yeah,
it's a matter of balancing that stuff. And we're really happy with the bosses that we have, even though some people feel the opposite. They're like, oh, fuck this boss or fuck that boss. But ultimately, for us, it's like we feel that everything's fair to a degree. It's like, again, we're listening to feedback, but we've spent a long time, and a lot of effort and thought has gone into each of these bosses
Yeah.
to refine them. So, and a lot of playtesting has gone into them as well. And ultimately, guess what? If you go buy some skills, some of them get a lot easier.
Oh yeah, totally.
This isn't the boss, right? This is
No.
just the bird.
It's like the
wizards.
room right before it. I
You'll
think.
know where the boss is.
Yeah.
It's harder than this, God.
If I remember correctly, the boss from this area had a little bit of an easier time with than some of the others. And
That's the opposite for most players.
Yeah, a lot of people say north is hard. Yeah, it's that's what's super interesting. It's about, like you're saying, it's about play style.
yeah, for some reason I had a much harder time with, again, the eastern boss than the northern one.
The Eastern boss is our quote-unquote easy boss.
Yeah, it's weird. I was getting like stomped by him way more than the. Maybe it's just because he was the first one I fought and I got better, perhaps.
Yeah,
but he
makes
felt like
sense.
the hardest one for me so far. The one.
Yeah, the East boss has easier telegraphs,
Yeah.
and he has, you can knock him down and damage the hell out of him.
Okay.
So he's got a lot more openness, whereas the North boss is quite a bit more stuffy about that.
Yeah. Oh man, gotta heal up. There you go. And I will say, like, I try to stay away from doing this because people do it so often with things that don't even make sense, but the boss fights do feel kind of like a Dark Souls boss fight.
Sure.
And I really appreciate that.
I love the Souls games, and I've learned a lot of lessons from them.
Yeah.
So that's an apt comparison, where in some cases that's maybe not an apt comparison for some games.
Yeah.
Because everyone's trying to be like the Dark Souls of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Dark Souls does big boss designs really, really well. And there's absolutely lessons to be learned from that stuff.
Yeah. And it's I think it's who said that? Yeah, Astral Fez said West Boss was his first.
Ooh, that's a rough one.
Yeah, and Epithreat says West Boss made me think of the super aggressive Souls fights.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I'm just a big fan of boss fights in general. I think they can be really awesome highlights to a game. And so, there's with a lot of games recently I've seen they don't really do boss fights because like the combat mechanics they have might be more suited for fighting multiple enemies of different types rather than one type. Like it's first person shooter and it's like a more realistic first person shooter. There's not much you can do with a guy with a gun aside from give him a lot of health and then like circle strafe him maybe. So I'm always happy to see a game that puts focus on those fights, and also games that put focus on tells and attacks, because I feel there are games that they don't really do tells that much. So an enemy will just snap into hitting you. It's like, well, that damage is unavoidable. I just have to deal out more damage before they do.
Telegraphing is super important to an experience that feels fair.
Yeah.
If you don't have good telegraphing, then you're not giving the player a fair chance, even if it's over the top and ridiculous. Like it's a video game, and it's not going to be super realistic,
Yeah, just base
again,
all tales based on Punch Out, really.
Yeah, like you show them the wind up, and you let them. They will fuck up. They will have plenty of opportunities to fuck up. You give them ample time to feel like, oh, I was aware of that. I made a dumb mistake.
Right.
Did you guys ever get too close to the game where you thought it was a lot easier than it was?
Yeah, I mean, that's unavoidable, right?
Yeah.
Like, even with a game that's not as hard as our game, like, every developer gets too good at their game to be objective, That's still something, as we're having these discussions about easy mode, that we're struggling with, is like, how to figure that out.
How do you guys take a step back to assess that?
I think you look at feedback from players, and now that we have a lot of players, we can take that into account, and we can keep playtesting, and we can keep discussing about that stuff with more people.
Yeah, we're hoping to plug in more, something we didn't really make time for, or that we chose to do other stuff instead, but we did make a lot of time for analytics. And that was something I always appreciated when I was at Microsoft. That was like what they've got, a very intense user testing group. And the best part about that was that if you're in a design discussion and you're just hitting a wall, you just like, it's a difference of opinion. You can just send it to test and be like, give us because you find yourself having a lot of discussions that are like, players find this boss frustrating, right? And then you have to ask yourself, well, why are we saying that? And then we can say like, oh, well, even now that we get all this great feedback on Steam or on Twitter or whatever, like we don't know which cross section of our players that is. So having data is super useful to help you kind of get a bird's eye view, because to get out of your own perspective as someone who made the game and see like this is actually what's happening. Lisa Brown, who was on the team for a time, and who is an Insomniac person, is like obsessed with analytics. She has strong opinions on that stuff too.
Yeah, our user research people here are like super passionate about that stuff, and like because of that, I've started to learn a lot about that stuff, and like the amount of data gathering there can be in games now to make them better, I was not aware of until I started working here about a year ago, and like it's nuts. And
yeah, best practices. Like there's so many. Doing it smart is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, analytics can be great. We had analytics for our 2014 preview build, and that was very helpful. So it's something we can do again, and something I would want to do again. It's just we didn't have the time to place it in before launching, so. But, you know, there's still a lot of feedback coming from people, because people on the internet will voice their opinions very loudly.
I mean, we also, as a less intense step, we got into a good habit for the last year or so of development of doing like a bi-weekly playtest. So we got into sort of like a sprint structure where we would do 2 weeks, where we'd set a goal for 2 weeks, and then we'd do a playtest with someone, usually someone who'd never played the game before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really good, especially when Bo and Alex started doing boss work, and like as we got deeper into building the world out for everything, for combat difficulty, for exploration understanding, for people navigating. Like you get someone who's never seen your game before, and you pop them in, and it's just, I mean, you guys know this, it's like, it's painful.
Yeah.
Painful when they can't figure it out. And you're like, oh, this is our fault, sort of.
Yeah, also, holy shit, Jordan, did you kill him in your second attempt, or was that your third?
I think it was my second.
Yeah.
Nice. That's way less attempts than me. Like I said, I had an easier time with this guy, but I still died a couple more times than that. Yeah, I love that boss fight.
Yeah, that was a cool boss fight.
The final phase there, like, feels really scary just because it's like almost overwhelming, but it's I think it's actually might be the easiest phase for him, maybe, just because he stops summoning in the birds.
Well, the bird's when you got the damage in.
Yeah.
So
one of the best moments we had in boss testing that I remember at least was when we were testing the West boss. He has this like jumping sword attack, and he used to be able to jump off cliffs. It's like we didn't realize that we needed to check for that. So I think we were doing like a team thing. You know, we'd go into boss fights as a team to see who could beat the boss first, because even with some of the bosses, still like it's. Even for us as developers, we don't beat them on the first try every time.
Yeah.
So we go in, and I think I was playing the West boss, and he just jumped off a cliff, and I was like, I win. Super relief.
Great cheese moment.
Yeah. Leave it in. It's how you kill some of the bosses in Souls.
Yeah, we have some cheese tactics for, I think, like the frog boss and maybe some of the south bosses, but
yeah.
Overall it's hard to choose our bosses because they don't fall in traps like that usually.
So yeah, that's not the whole thing, but you reach the end here of the first area.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool, man. And intense.
I'm ready for more. Well, we'll cut the stream and I'll just sit in here. Keep going.
Yeah, it's quarter after, so we should probably start wrapping up, but yeah, man. Oh. Hyper Light Drifter is actually I threw the wrong video up. They're still seeing you guys. Whoops. Hold on a sec. There we are. That was weird. Oh, well. Shit happens. Yeah. Hyper Light Drifter is really good, and it was so great having you guys on.
Yeah, this was awesome, you guys.
And also, this has probably been my favorite talk with other game devs so far from all the streams I've done.
Awesome.
I'm just the video guy and stream guy, so I have literally never designed a game, but I think about it armchair-wise all the time, so it's nice to talk to somebody who actually knows how to make video games.
It's hard to do.
Yeah, I've tried myself a couple times just during college and stuff, and it's like, woof.
It takes. I
And-
mean, there's a reason why a lot of hobbyists or like indie devs don't end up releasing anything at all because it takes endurance. It takes a lot of endurance.
Yeah,
And finishing anything is the worst part.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for any endeavor. It's like finishing stuff is fucking rough.
Yeah.
yeah.
The first 30% is awesome. It goes. There's an acceleration to it. It feels great, and it's that less. I mean, that's for like even the first 80%.
Yeah,
But it's the polish that counts.
it's tough.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. You made a pretty cool game.
Yeah.
Thank
Pretty
you.
cool.
It's so I guess it's available on Steam. Can you get it other places other than Steam right now?
Yeah, you can get it on Steam. You can get it on GOG. You can get it on Humble.
Okay.
You can get it on that shady site G2A, which steals keys and sells them for cheap
Oh,
or
jeez.
whatever. I don't know what
Is that
they
the
do.
Russian
Get it on our
one?
website,
You can also get it on our website, which
Okay.
goes to any of those things.
heart-machine.com. We have merch there too. There's prints and shirts and all that.
Fangamer also has a bunch of our merch, so
Yeah.
go there.
Oh yeah, Fangamer's a great place. I love that. I love
They're
that
awesome.
site.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Volition. We stream every Thursday, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, 22 GMT now because their time zones are weird and just changed again. I'm Josh Stinson. The streams are also from Volition. We had,
I'm Jordan.
and then from Heart Machine we had.
Alex.
And Teddy.
And thanks for watching, guys. Oh, and also Mike Watson, the community developer. Damn.
Yeah.
Congrats, Mike. And yeah, see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.